Hi, I'm #1 New York Times best-selling author Tony Lee, and you're listening to Mark 42.
To Mark 42's universe here on SUBSPACE Radio, as well as the Geekcast Radio Network, mark42.com, and all around the interweb thingy. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and with us today are
Eduardo M. Freyre. And here's a question for the group. Is anybody else doing this show today with a action figure of G.I. Joe writer Larry Hama on their desk?
No.
Nope, I am.
Yeah.
I am, and I gotta give a shout out to Fresh Monkey Fiction. Awesome figure. I love it. Been waiting for this for a long time, and it was worth the wait.
Oh, that's good. Fresh Monkey Fiction. Yeah, yep. We're gonna give them plugs all the time. Who are they? Tell us why you're plugging them.
They're a toy company that has done. They did retro style figures of like a lot of public domain superheroes. And when I mean retro style, I mean it's like their feel is kind of like the old Secret Wars figures from the 80s.
Okay.
They did, they've created figures for Flash Gordon, the Phantom. One of their most recent ones, they have Sam and Max, Popeye. They do some good stuff. I'm waiting on as we record this episode, I should be getting in the mail sometime early in the week. I should be getting my Phantom action figure. In this case, instead of Kit Walker, it's the female Phantom, Julie Walker. So can't wait to get her in my hands.
Okay. We also have. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I also plan on teaming her up with my figure of Shauna the She-Devil. Yep. And
we've gone too far. Okay.
What? What? Having the ladies stick together. Jeez.
Okay. We also have on our show
Vicky Jakubowski.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
How's it going?
Surviving like everybody else.
You'd want to see a couple of jungle superheroines team up, wouldn't you?
I'm not answering that question. I feel like
it's
a trick question. It's a trick.
It's not a trick. Come on. If you saw that on the shelves in the comic shop, you'd go for it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Shauna and the Phantom together for the first time.
No. We also have
Zion Quiros.
Hey, Zion. How's it going?
Hi. Good.
What's been going on this week?
Nothing much. Spring break just started, so there's that.
Oh, spring break. Yes.
I gotta wait a couple of more weeks. Darn it. Shame on you, Zion. Shame on you for doing it before me.
Well, folks,
that's right. Blame somebody else.
This show is actually a good thing for people going on spring break in the next couple of weeks, because you'll be able, if you haven't already, watch our topic, and you'll be able to binge it while you're on spring break. We're talking, let me just say, we're going to open the pages, the story of the book of Boba Fett.
Pages, book. You make funny.
Children.
And you know what? We're going to give you the Cliff Notes version of this. No? Our book report? No?
No.
Okay.
No.
You know what? You're going to stay after school, dude. You're going to stay after school. You're going to stay
Detention
after
for
school.
Mark.
Detention.
It's spring break. There's no school to stay after.
Okay, well, guess who's not going to have fun on spring break?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, honey. Now be nice.
Welcome to a non-fun spring break. Population you. Yeah, Zion, Vicky, and I, we're gonna go chill on the beach. We're gonna have ourselves a good time. You're gonna be stuck indoors.
I'll be writing. I'll be writing book reports.
I do not do the beach.
Okay. So we'll go to a Disney park, Vicky.
I'll have to write a term paper during spring break.
Oh,
that's why I won't have fun.
Okay, I want 5,000 words on how great the book of Boba Fett really was.
5,000? Oh, come on. No, come on, Vicky.
No,
No,
wait a minute.
Vicky,
Ed,
Vicky,
Ed,
no, Vicky,
You
Vicky,
forget
don't
I
be.
was an English lit major.
Ed, that's actually
Yeah, but
hard,
Vicky, not
because there are
5,000,
more-
not 5,000, 20,000.
No.
Okay.
Ed,
20,000?
Ed,
No,
hold on.
20,000. No. Don't ed me.
No,
20,000.
teacher,
You cannot.
Children.
No, you can't. Okay,
Children.
you cannot do double spaced, and it has to be one page only. So no, you're not
no,
going to freaking
Now
shortchange this.
stop.
No. The 5,000 words, because there are so many more words, it's a matter of editing it down. That's going to be harder than writing 20,000 words. Editing 20 down to 5,000. That's the ticket.
I actually have to agree with you on that because as
Thank
you guys
you.
can tell, I can talk a lot. I can also write a lot. And when they say give us a one-page review, yeah, I was that horrible student who's like, oh my God, how do I just get it to one page? Sheesh.
Okay. So
You know,
now
I had Catholic school, so it's all about, just making him write until his hand falls off. So guess what? You can't type it. You have to use a pencil.
I do that anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. All right, fine, wise guy. Fine, wise guy. An antique quill, an ink pot.
I used to have one of those when I was a young kid, because in 5th grade we had calligraphy, so I'm good. Here we go. We're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, and to lead this conversation is Vicky. Vicky, take it away.
Okay, kids. Now we're all going to behave. But so
I'm in my never mind.
my.
Back to tank. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett. It's on Disney Plus, 7 episodes. And, my God, this thing has so many references. I had to watch it twice because there were so many Easter eggs. There were so many references, not just to all the Star Wars movies that came before it, but of course, as Ed can definitely explain, hey, Ed, how is it related to The Godfather Part 2?
Well, because let's see. Anybody who hasn't, seen The Godfather 2, it actually jumps back and forth in time. We've got the rise of Vito Corleone, who was played by Marlon Brando in the first movie, and then in the younger days by Robert De Niro. So we have the rise of Vito Corleone, and then we see how his son Mike is doing as the Godfather. So yeah, it jumps back and forth in time.
Now, did that work for you? I've heard some other people complain that the jumping back and forth made it uncomfortable. But what did you think about the jumping back and forth, Ed?
What, for the Godfather or Boba Fett?
For Boba Fett, honey.
For Boba Fett. Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, were you discombobulated by the flashbacks and everything? Did that upset your viewing of it?
No. In fact, actually, I was perfectly fine with it. First of all, the flashbacks are kind of framed almost as dreams that Boba Fett is having in the Bacta tank. So right. I don't know how. It wasn't just that they immediately jumped back in time. You see Boba Fett chilling in the Bacta tank. Then we go back like years before, months before, however it's supposed to be.
I think it's 5 years. I think it's a 5-year thing.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. It's like we jump back in time, but the first thing we get is the establishing shot of him in the Bacta tank. So I don't know where this confusion thing comes from.
Right.
Like,
Zion, how did you like how they framed this whole show to begin with before we get to the nitty gritty? Did the framing of it confuse you, or did you find it workable like Ed did?
It was very straightforward for me. Like, it was pretty much telling two stories in one, essentially. You are in the present day, then you're in the past. But the past is to fill in why Boba Fett is the way he is now.
Nice. Mark, you have any insights into that? How did you feel about it?
I was totally fine. I agree with Ed on The Godfather Part 2. I thought it was interesting because, there's been a lot of fan fiction written and stuff about how Boba Fett escaped from the Sarlacc. Now we know canon. We have a canon version of how he got out, which if we had just started 5 years later, how did he get out? That doesn't make sense. And then you have to read all the others, the fiction. I think there was actually some actual books that covered it too, not just fan fiction. I think some of the novels had it that aren't in canon anymore. But I thought it was really good, and it was important to find out about his relationship with the Tusken Raiders for part of the plot later on.
I would absolutely
not to
agree.
mention it answered the thing with the Tusken Raiders answered a question, which was, when we saw him in The Mandalorian, he had the gaffy stick. It was, it's not, it was something that we didn't need it, but it was good to have.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'll
Answer
go
the
with
question.
that. I'll go with that.
So I really liked how this fit in to the entire Star Wars story. And I love how there are all these Easter eggs between it and the Phantom Menace and Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Not to mention some of my other favorite films, like, and we'll get into it a little bit later, but like Butch Cassidy and The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. But how did you feel that this fit into the story? Did it answer some questions for you? Did you really feel like it just kind of fit? Zion, what do you think?
I guess pretty much. I don't know how to like really put it. Like I'm so used to Legends Boba Fett. Like I don't know if you guys ever read Tales of a Bounty Hunter. Like it was this old book in like the mid 90s, between that gap between 6 and 1. And so pretty much that gap pretty much fed the Boba Fett and pretty much made him like this omnipotent guy that can't be beat, which was fair because Boba Fett looks freaking amazing, right? So you had to do something with the design, but like it's a man, so it's nice to see them like ground him down in terms of like kind of like tone him down, but at the same time I'm like, this isn't the Boba Fett I kind of know, but I have to get used to it. But it makes sense because of the whole Rancor thing, and
right.
I mean the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Same movie, whatever. But
I knew what you meant, honey. It's okay.
Like 40 different aliens.
Well, did any of you guys watch the Clone Wars animated series?
I saw season 1.
I saw some of it, yeah.
Okay, I really recommend watching all of it because some of the characters we're introduced to in this series,
like
we
Cad
actually
Bane.
get like Cad Bane. Oh yeah, no, we're going to definitely have to talk about Cad.
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's a lot of Boba Fett's early years are kind of explained in the Clone Wars, and I think it, assuming it's still canon, I think it's still canon.
I think the cartoon.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, last I heard that is still Clone Wars still canon.
It is.
Oh, good.
The comic book that Zion's talking about, that's no longer canon.
No.
Weren't there
the
weren't there 2 animated series called the Clone Wars?
No, there is.
There was
Star Wars
one
Clone
way
Wars.
before.
Yes.
That's not included.
In 2003, there was Star Wars Clone Wars, and that introduced Ventress and Grievous and such. But that's not canon no more.
Right.
But now
But
we
the
have
other
Clone
one, the
Wars.
one that was later.
The actual
that you can
series
find
as
on
opposed
Disney
to the little
Plus.
shorts.
Yeah.
Because there was the shorts that was on Comedy Central, not Comedy Central,
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, those don't count. I don't
Yeah,
think.
so those
I
were the
don't
little
think.
short ones. I don't know how much canon. Okay, yeah, it would take us forever to figure out what's in canon.
It's
But
funny.
then, of course, you've got the Rebels and you've got the Clone Wars, the long series. And I very much enjoyed them, and I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah, it's funny that the contrast in the 2 different Clone Wars series, like the one one that we have now was I believe like overlooked by Lucas, but the one that came out in 2004 or 3 between then, he hated it.
Yeah.
Really?
He actually he despised
Me
it
too.
because it turned the Jedi into what I saw Boba Fett as these omnipotent beings who literally took down armies and armies of droids without using their lightsabers, with you only using straight hands. It was incredible when you was a kid, but when you sat down and saw that episode 3 happens, and then the Jedi aren't as powerful as they saw in this cartoon. So
that is true.
But so that's why he overall just hated that series, and why in here is more attuned into like the power scaling of the actual movies.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about Cade, because no offense, I thought this is one of the best comic to live action creation I've ever seen.
Oh,
he
yeah,
looked
definitely.
good. He
got
looked exactly like he should have.
Yeah, no, and they got his voice actor, Corey Burton, to reprise the role. It's not because I think it's one of those things, a trap that can get fallen into is it's live action. Let's get
Right.
hot actor fill in the blank.
Right.
He looks like, he can imitate the voice well enough, it's like, but we got to get a big name. So you could be like, hey, look, it's Jason Statham as Cad Bane, or, whatever.
I'm so glad they went the route they did, because I agree with you, Ed. I cannot believe how many times you've seen something and they put it live. And, with all the various comic book movies that have come out, some of the characters, you're just like, I don't know if I'd have gone that way. This was like perfect. I can't think of another character I've seen so perfectly translated from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. And he snarled so beautifully. He was Van Cleef all the way.
Oh, yes. Definitely. And man, just that, you shouldn't stick your nose in someone else's business.
Look, okay, I don't know if you guys can actually quantify how I felt about Cad Bane showing up, because I watched the whole Clone Wars as a kid throughout his entire run, on TV, on Cartoon Network, even though I'm not a 3D guy, I was a big giant fan of the 2003 series, and it's just incredible. So I just, of course, went here, and since Cad Bane is the first main guy, the main new villain of Clone Wars, it was kind of cool to see him, even though I didn't expect him at all. It's insane that I blocked all of these spoilers, and then as soon as you see this guy walking through the desert it's a 60s western, I'm like, oh my god, it's him.
Yep.
And it's funny that exact reaction is the same reaction whenever this guy showed up. Oh my god, it's him. Stuff is about to go down.
Yep.
Someone's
He
not.
has that feeling, doesn't he?
Yep. And Zion, I feel you on that one. When he's walking through the desert, I'm just kind of like, whoa, who's that going to be? Is that Mando or something? And then I saw the hat, and I'm like, no, they didn't.
No.
They didn't just do what I thought they just did, and yeah, they did.
And they did it so right. They have a good track record of since they've started this whole Disney Plus, they've had a good track record of doing the small things that was done in other series and other movies, bringing it back and expanding on it to a point where we are that was satisfying. I don't think there's one cameo from a different series or anything that came out in the whole Disney Plus Mando and Book of Boba Fett yet, where I was I wish I had more.
Yeah.
Good point. Very good point. So it was just so amazing when Cad Bane came to be, because Jango Fett's now dead. He's been beheaded by the Jedi, and he's the new big baddie in the bounty hunter world. He is the big baddie, and he even for a while works with young Boba Fett, and it just, and then of course they very quickly have very different ways of doing things. So it was really neat to see them come back together as adults now. And and I don't know. I love a good bad guy. And I think that Cad Bane is a great bad guy. From the way he looks, to the way he talks, to everything he does. Yep. And I don't know if I've had such a good bad guy in a long time.
Yep. And it's, and it's one of those things where he appears late in the day in the show, but it fits.
Yes.
It fits that he's there, because it's you have the war between Boba Fett and the Pikes coming up. Mm-hmm. That they'll go into their Rolodex and be like, "Hey, Cad, you busy? You know what? We got we got a few credits that we want to spend, and Boba Fett, right? Yeah, he's been a pain in our behind with our operations in Tatooine. Yeah, you free this weekend? Yeah, great.
Well, I feel like it also makes sense. It just makes sense because he was so integral when it came to the Clone Wars, that he was part of it, that he was he was part of Boba's youth. And since we go back and forth, we spend a little bit of time in his youth with his father. Mm-hmm. We, of course, kind of how he grew, which is funny because when you think about Boba Fett, the first time we see him is Empire Strikes Back. and he was a one-off character. He was never supposed to be.
Whoa, whoa. The Boba Fett, they were going to create a new version of stormtroopers that were the same costume as Boba Fett. It was not supposed to be a bounty. It wasn't a bounty hunter. He was an Imperial soldier, and they were all clones. And because of financial reasons, they couldn't make that many costumes. They changed it to Boba Fett, the bounty hunter. So, and actually, they premiered his character in the Star Wars holiday special. He was supposed to be a big character. So let's take that back. He was not a one-off.
Well, and hold on. Actually, I can go even one better.
Okay.
I heard a rumor that the original idea was that they were going to make Boba Fett Vader's brother.
I did hear something
heard
about
that.
And they actually, and it's like, and then they were like, you know what? Nah. You know,
well, there was a lot of thoughts around Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
But when they filmed it in Empire Strikes Back, they weren't sure what they were going to do with it. And even in Return of the Jedi, you know, where he became a far more important character.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, at least until he went down like a punk.
Well, yeah. But you know, hey, that was a funny scene. Come on, you got to admit it was a funny scene.
Yeah.
But nothing like a blind Han Solo putting his nemesis to death.
Yeah. Well, and going and basically looking at Chewie and going, Boba Fett?
What?
Boba Fett? What? Boba Fett? Boba Fett? Yeah.
But he became such a fan favorite almost from moment one. And I think that speaks to the character and the intrigue we had with him when we first got our eyes on him. And I think that it's just fabulous that we finally get this deep story. I'm glad that it went more into his childhood in, of course, Phantom Menace, and then the Clone Wars, the cartoon series. Yeah. And it just because he's just such an interesting character.
Yeah.
He's different from everyone else. He was made.
Well, and also I like the fact, one of the things I like about the flashbacks is it, you know, again, we find out how he got out of the Sarlacc, and I do like the whole interlude where he's living with the Tuskens.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, it's like, yeah, that also worked.
Was
I like
very well done.
Yeah.
What I like about one of the things I love about the flashbacks is it gave us it wasn't just, hey, here's here's baby Boba Fett with his first, my first blaster. It was it's like, let's see what between Return of the Jedi and when he showed up in Mandalorian, what did we need answered? One, how did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? Two, how did he lose his armor? Three, where did he get the Tusken Raider stuff? Four, how did he and Fennec Shan hook up? And it's like answered. Like the only thing we don't, I mean, hell, we even got how he got Slave One back.
Yeah.
They answered what we needed to know, got answered.
And I think that's the number one thing I like about this series is that it did answer so many questions that people have had, well, going back a few decades, because when you think about it, almost from the moment he disappears at the end or the middle of Return of the Jedi, you just kind of want to know. You're already saying, ooh, well, what happened? But we want to know more about him. Are we going to get more of him? How can we get more of him? He's dead. Well, guess what? We get a whole bunch of answers and then some. And we actually find that he's got a higher quality of character than we ever thought possible.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very good quality. And the quality is just like our show. It's a quality show. So we're going to take a break on that note. That was a terrible segue.
Yes,
when we come
was.
back, yes, it was. When
Yes,
we
it
come
was.
back, we'll have more on the Book of Boba Fett, talking about a lot of different things, including a character who seemed to take over the show for a while. You're listening to Mark 42's Universe on Subspace Radio, Geekcast Radio Network, all around the web thing, and even our website, markwho42.com. And when we come back, like I said, more of Book of Boba Fett. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe.
Hello, geeks and geekettes. I'm Steve Megatron, and if you're looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of geeky topics, then check out Altered Geek. Altered Geek covers superheroes, Star Trek, pop culture, comics, film, television, animation, gaming, tech, and more. So check out Altered Geek and get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks every Friday on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, Blog Talk Radio, and the Geekcast Radio Network.
You are listening to Mark Who 42's universe.
Welcome back to more of Mark Who 42's universe here on SUBSPACE Radio, Geekcast Radio Network, markwho42.com, and all around the interweb thingy. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me today are Eduardo M. Freyre, Vicky Jakubowski, and Zion Quiros, and we're here talking about The Mandalorian 2.5.
Well, now we got to talk about the bantha in the room.
The elephants in the room. We have to do it. We have to talk to Mandalorian because he.
You know what? And actually, the thing that both of you just said, the bantha in the room and the elephant in the room, you do realize, if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you do realize that is essentially correct. Both of you are correct.
Yes.
Because banthas were elephants covered in fur.
With funny horns instead of tusks. But anyway.
But they but no, that's the thing. They were actual elephants. Seriously.
Oh, wait, they were elephants. You mean
I
women?
did hear
They were elephants that they covered up, and that's like, I never knew that.
That is possible.
Yep.
That's amazing.
I'm sure PETA's listening to this right now and being like, "What?
No elephants were harmed in the making of these films."
I hope.
Anyway,
Nope.
Okay. So, of course, we have to talk about, and not just Mando, but all of them. I mean, we've got Ahsoka, we've got Luke Skywalker, we've got all these characters that come back. Cobb from
Yep.
What are they calling themselves? Freetown.
Freetown, yeah.
Freetown.
Cobb.
So we have a lot
with Freetown.
of. Oh no.
No. No.
So of course, we get Boba Fett at the end of season 2 for The Mandalorian, and we get a lot of teasers. We know it's coming, and we see him sit on the throne. So of course, if you're going to have, especially when you get to the 7th episode, and you've got the big battle between everybody, you have to know why those people are there.
Yeah.
So, whether we're talking about Kersantin or the Rancor or Mando or Grogu or all those characters. Grogu.
Okay.
Stop it. But so we have to. Yes, he is, and he kicks butt in this one.
Baby Yoda.
But so we have a couple episodes where we're kind of seeing what Grogu's been doing and what Mando's been doing. And I've actually heard some complaints, but I was like, well, but if they just showed up, you'd be like, why the hell are they here?
Yeah.
You kind of need to know.
You know what's interesting, actually, getting back a little before that, when they were doing production on this, the people who were hired for Book of Boba Fett thought they were actually making Mandalorian season 3. They didn't know until 2 or 3 weeks into production that they were doing the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, wow.
Well, you've got a lot of the same people. You got Robert Rodriguez, you got Bryce Dallas Howard, you've got
Favreau, Filoni.
Thank you. I know I was losing track of names. So the people who were involved with and the creative force behind it are the same in both. And I think that they did a really good job. And it was important to know what happened with the Black Saber. No offense. You got to kind of know where is this going? And, then of course it's setting up for season 3 of The Mandalorian, which we know is going to be, because there's so much talk both in Mandalorian, not to mention the Clone Wars and Rebels and all the other previous animated series, where the whole history of Mandalorians taking back over the planet and being in control of themselves and not being a colony of the Empire.
Yeah.
So that was a huge storyline. So that's going to come up in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Definitely.
And actually, can I? I'm going to make a prediction right here. Okay. Based off what we saw from the Return of the Mandalorian, and that was by the way, that's the actual episode name. Based on what we saw of that, I wouldn't be surprised if a major plot line of Mandalorian season 3 is Mando on his own with Grogu, and where season 1 and 2 of the Mandalorian was everybody after Mando because he has Grogu. Season 3 is going to be everybody after Mando because he has the Darksaber.
I have a question. Can they even Can they even call the show The Mandalorian anymore?
They have to.
Yeah, but he's no longer a Mandalorian. They kicked him out of the sect.
Well, exactly.
Come on. Mandalorians are a big, it's kind of like us calling ourselves Earthlings, and then there's different nationalities and different ways of thinking, and there's been a lot of debate about this secret sect that Mando belonged to as a foundling, and how they're kind of viewed as extremists.
Right.
And they take the code to the nth degree. We all know people like that, don't we? And it makes this world an interesting place. But so he's still Mandalorian in terms of so much about him. He just doesn't necessarily, because he allowed his helmet to be taken off. Did he really violate the creed? Come on.
Does he still follow the way?
Well, not to mention the fact that yes, he took his helmet off, but I mean, geez Louise, last time, first off, it was a mission, he was on a rescue mission. He had to take it off. And then not to mention the only person who saw his helmet off was Luke Skywalker. Behind him were Fennec Shan, Bo-Katan, I forgot.
That's a lot of people you just listed there.
But basically, you had maybe 3 to 4 people behind him, but they were behind him. All they saw was black hair.
Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't know.
Then is it so hard to just lie? Like, you're a bounty hunter.
It is hard for him to lie.
I think that he
part
has
of the
a hard
way.
time.
Part of the way is not to lie.
Yeah.
And
but
I
you're
think
wearing
the
a
fact
mask.
that he was, but he was honest, and to me that endeared me when he says yes.
Yeah.
Well, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're awful! You're horrible!"
Well, something I gotta take the armor to task. Okay, all right. He boo-booed. He took off his mask. That's a no-no. Okay, all right, fine. But the fact that she's like, well, then you got to do penance, and he's like, well, the place I can do penance on got basically blown to hell, and it's like, oh, well, too bad, so sad. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? It's like, really, there's nothing in the book of Mandalorians, nothing in the Mandalorian Bible or whatever, whatever it's probably called, that's like, well, the planet's destroyed. We can figure something else out. Nope. It's like, well, who cares if the planet's raised? Sorry. Your fault for taking off. You should have thought of that before you took off your helmet. It's like, really, lady? And he's got the freaking Darksaber. That's like,
and you were so rooting for him, weren't you?
Oh. It's like, really? He has the Darksaber. Technically, he's supposed to be your boss, but you're like, nope. You took off the helmet. Nope. It's like, really, lady? Seriously?
And isn't the helmet thing or post Empire thing anyway? Because of the purge.
Well, I've heard that date.
Pardon?
I've absolutely.
I don't know.
I've heard a couple different theories on what this group is, and one of them was that it's post Empire. One of them that it dates back to a earlier sect that's referenced briefly in I think it was the Clone Wars, and it does come to the part where if anything goes too far, and clearly that goes too far, it's like, doesn't that make him, I'm just going to say, better than them? They're just like, okay, here's the rule, you can't violate it.
Yep.
And he's like, well, he kept the letter of the law. He did what he was supposed to, and he did what he needed to do to get the job done. So how does that make him the bad guy? How does that make him need to be killed?
Yeah.
And of course, I think they just wanted the black saber.
Yeah.
I am only bringing this because like if you remember in a series 1, he got saved by the Night Watch. The Night Watch was led by
Yes.
Pre Vizsla. Pre Vizsla regularly took off his helmet.
Yeah.
So, and that's still technically after the purge the same faction as the Night Watch, at least in essence.
Yeah.
So, based in context clues, the mask thing, at least I swear they said this in the first season, but the mask where they had to keep the helmet on is a post-purge thing. But yeah,
you might be
it's
right.
just weird that,
Yep.
that like they hold that so important because of the purge, even though I
Well-
don't think that like the
Even though the
one
Purge
thing-
really wasn't that good a movie series.
Okay, all right, that's it. Bye, everyone. Hope you had a good time. We'll be back next week.
Okay, why don't we move on to some of the surprises that we got in this show? I mean, we had some nice. Well, of course, Robert Rodriguez directed like 3 of them, so no surprise. We had we had Machete on it.
Yep,
He's
Machete.
showing
Yep.
up as the Rancor keeper. That was the
Oh
coolest
man,
thing.
I'm sorry. It's like, okay, first we have Boba Fett getting a freaking Rancor, and
Yes.
then we have Machete himself, Danny Trejo,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Rancor keeper. I'm like, I'm here for it. Danny Trejo in the Star Wars universe as a Rancor trainer. I'm here for it. Yes.
I died when I saw that. That was
Yeah.
like so
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Especially just him and then just his whole. What I love about the whole thing. Well, first of all, the big thing with having the Rancor,
Yes.
it's like Boba Fett said, I'm gonna learn how to ride this thing.
Mhm.
What
Just
did we
like
get
the
in the final?
witches.
What did we get in the final episode? He's
riding
riding
the
the damn
Rancor.
Rancor. I'm like, look. I've heard people didn't like the final episode, and to them, I just say, if you're listening to this, anybody out there, Boba Fett on a freaking Rancor. How is
Getting
that
cooler
not
than that?
awesome? That is freaking awesome. Come
I
on.
thought it was so
Get
cool.
over yourself.
Mhm.
And it was really funny because when you first see the claw come over and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about the Rancor. Of course he's gonna have the Rancor.
Yep.
It's
It's
called
like,
foreshadowing.
Ermagerd, you got Cad Bane and you got all these guns. Oh wait, I got a freaking Rancor.
Okay, since
It
we're
was- Yes.
since we're on surprises,
Yes.
so I never expected to get a whole full episode or like half episode of Luke. Like I only expected to
Yes.
get 10 seconds. So how did they put this episode together?
Well, if you're talking about the special effects, they got a better special effects person than the end of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now you will notice, and Patricia and I had this conversation offline a couple weeks ago, where you notice you very rarely see Luke Skywalker talking when you're looking straight at his face. And that is true. It is difficult when you've got the de-aging process and you've got you're doing the whole CGI thing. It's hard to make the mouth perfect. So when they're talking. So he very rarely is talking and full face with you, which I thought was actually a very smart move. But I was like 2 seconds into, I'm like, they're not going to show his face while he's talking. And my husband's like, no. I'm not. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be almost no shots directly on his face while he's talking. And we sat there and watched it, and I had to go back and rewatch it. It's like, wow, yeah. But they did a good job. He looked better in this
Yeah.
episode.
I'd like to give a little kudo to the man the actor who actually stood in for for Luke Skywalker before they did the effects, Graham Hamilton. Like to give him a shout out. Graham, you did a great job standing there and looking good before they put the stuff on you.
Yeah. And by the way, I have to give. I also, by the way, it's funny you should mention his stand-in because his stand-in, Mark Hamill's stand-in,
Graham Hamilton, yeah.
Graham Hamilton, he actually appeared twice in the Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, he was the other X-wing pilot.
Oh,
Oh,
I did not know that.
Yeah, when the two X-wings encounter Mando in his sweet new ride. Yeah, he was the other X-wing pilot, the one that got admonished, and it's like, you really want to keep flying, or you want to go back and do paperwork? It's like,
I like it when they
I
do
didn't
that, so
realize
you
that.
can see
Yep.
the person who's behind the scenes, and then you give them. Actually, it's funny because didn't we have that with the first Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back? That he also had a in-person scene.
Yes, Jeremy Bullock was
Yeah,
the one
Jeremy
that was
Bullock.
pulling. Yeah, he was pulling Leia back when she like shouts at Luke and goes, "It's a trap!"
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I
I
love
should
it
have
when
seen
they
it.
do
I like.
that.
I love.
Fine example of Imperial bravery, using the princess of Alderaan as a human shield.
Actually, I have to say, all the performance artists, because that's kind of what they call them, the people who embody the characters that they then put a different face on, or a different person does the voice for them. I think that they were amazing. They did great jobs. Cad Bane's performance is Dorian Keeney, I think is how you pronounce his name. Nice job. Love that. But I loved having that almost like foreshadowing as the robots are building the new Jedi temple and a new Jedi school. And you're just like, whoa, I know where we are. I know what's going to happen in a few years.
Mhm.
Yeah. Although here's the, you know what? Here I do have a question. I do have a thing though. This is a question that I posed to Trish, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this one. So Luke gives Grogu the choice,
Right.
which was, okay, it turns out that your foster daddy showed up and left you this piece of mithril.
Yeah, I know.
Your foster daddy left you this little mithril shirt. Do you can either go with the mithril shirt, or you can grab Yoda's lightsaber. Choose which path you want to go. And I mean,
and that's exactly what happened to Luke in
yeah,
Empire Strikes Back with Yoda.
Well, it's also, no, what gets me though about that scene is that is this kind of a way to foreshadow the fact that Luke really doesn't do so hot as a Jedi Master? That, why is it that Luke had to adhere to this antiquated idea of, well, you just have to cut off all ties. So it's like, so hey, if your dad comes over with a birthday gift, if you accept it, that means you're not cutting off ties. You're doing it wrong.
I think that Luke should know better, because Luke knows.
Right. Exactly. Like he's trying to follow the playbook instead of creating his own book.
Yes, which is why it's not until he starts to, let's just put it this way, until he's an old man and he's already dealt with his nephew Ben and all of that, he had to fall and stumble to find a new way. Because the old way, ironically, just like with the Mandalorian, is too strict and too one or the other. You can't have both. When in this world, we know the concept of life balance is so important, and having to be all one or another doesn't work for anyone, anywhere, anyhow.
Well, hey, they said it. They said it in the, it's been said in the movies, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Right. So why did the Jedi? And it's actually where the Jedi became, shall we say, a little, a lot sanctimonious. And it's the same mistake that like the armorer makes, where it's all or nothing. This is what you do. And it's kind of scary when you realize that the Jedi as an organization was becoming so strict, so rigid. And so, I think about like in Phantom Menace, where the librarian says, well, if it's not in our records, it doesn't exist. It's like, how full of yourself can you be when you start doing that, and you start doing exactly what you say the Sith do, and yet you don't even realize you've gone that far. So what we've learned in Boba Fett is that Luke makes those same mistakes.
Yep.
We then find out in later movies that he finally starts to realize the right way, which is not being as rigid, which is not making the same mistakes of the Jedi in the past.
Well, that's interesting, because I never took it that way. I took it as Luke looking at the failures of the Jedi and actually improving on them. I feel like no Jedi would have gave their Padawan a choice I feel like that they would have just told him, this is not the way of the Jedi. This is attachments. This leads to the dark side, hate, destruction, failure, all this other crap. While Luke just put it in clean black and white. You could either keep attachments. Like, he didn't say attachments are bad. He never said attachments led to the dark side. Because Luke also has those attachments.
He didn't say that. But Yoda did the same thing to Luke when Luke had to choose between his friends in continued training. And Luke ended up taking his friends over the training, and Yoda was very upset and very afraid that they were going to lose him to the dark side.
Which is why I took it as Luke improving on it. He saw that moment and said, the Jedi mean well, but there's the innards of the Jedi that don't mix with what Luke values. And just because the Jedi say it, that doesn't mean it exactly lines up with your values. So, like, again, when he gave Grogu a choice to go back with Din or stay here, he never said that it was bad. He just gave him a choice.
No, he didn't. But then you see later in the more recent trilogy where he clearly was very black and white when he tried to end his nephew Ben because he was afraid of the dark side and he was afraid he couldn't control it. And then later, it's only after that does he recognize that there's another way.
I can't really call that a black and white because he said himself, and I believe me, there's anyone that despises The Last Jedi and how it treated Luke Skywalker.
You got a point. Good point.
Got a very good point.
Right.
Good point.
But I never took it as like black and white because he always said, the first thing he said, it was a fleeting thought. It left just as fast as it came. The only difference was that the flick of the saber came on.
Yep.
If he left it, then we're not talking about here. Ben becomes the greatest Jedi of all time, and that's it. It's just the fact that he screwed up. He's human.
That's true. I like that. That's a really good thought.
Yeah.
Well, let's try and lighten the mood a little bit. How about we talk about some of the comic relief?
Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Show of hands. Is anybody surprised that the mayor's major domo actually survived to the end?
Of course he did.
He
switched sides 17 times.
Well, no, I don't think he switched sides so much as he's like, I kind of like, did you ever see that? Did you ever see the Coneheads movie in the 90s?
Yes.
Okay. Remember that David Spade, kind of sort of switched sides? That he was Beldar took him back as a captive, and then you see him like right next to
whoever he's with. That's the side he's on is him. He's on the side of himself.
So I mean, it's kind of. I think it's. I'm just surprised that the. It looks like that one. One droid from Return of the Jedi was still at Jabba's palace. The one that was the one that was bossing C-3PO. I'm kind of surprised because I remember from the Legends canon that the story of that droid was a torture droid. I'm surprised that it wasn't like constantly dragging the major domo back, and it's like, you still haven't answered the question, and just dragging him back for like more, zapping and stuff. But yeah, I was just kind of surprised because the entire time I was waiting for him to get like killed by a stray blaster shot or the Rancor grabbing him and doing.
And that's true. You did kind of feel it was kind of funny all the different droids they had. And you forgot to mention Rex. Rex is in the casino.
Yeah. But here's the thing: I'm wondering: is that supposed to be Rex himself, or is that a Rex series droid?
I've heard both, but I have not heard anything
like
coming out of Lucasfilm saying which it's supposed to be.
Yeah, the thing for me is that since we didn't get any, like, it is a Rex, at least a Rex droid. The thing is we didn't get anything, like they didn't call Paul Rubens and go, here, can you record some dialogue? So it can be either way. And not to mention the fact that given what happened to Sanctuary, do we really want it to be the Rex?
No. Because he right now is the DJ at the cantina in Galaxy's Edge. So no, he's not dead. Yes, he is.
Oh.
If you go to the cantina at Galaxy's Edge, he's the DJ and he's funny as hell.
Did he have milk there?
And it is
milk there?
I think they have the green milk too.
They
Green
have
milk,
green
okay.
milk, blue milk. You can get
Yeah, which by the way,
of alcohol in
Yeah.
the horns.
Yeah.
I have a porg tiki cup.
No.
Okay, I want one.
I don't remember what was in it.
Yeah, I will say that I will say this. Yeah, the cantina has the green milk. Next time I'm going to be going to Galaxy's Edge in about
Yes.
in about a month. When I go, I am most definitely I'm going to be getting the green milk, and I am going to do a picture where I have the milk mustache, the milk beard, and I will be doing that freak grin that Mark Hamill did. I will be doing it. I will find a screen cap of it, and I will practice in front of the mirror.
Picture, honey. I want to see the picture.
You darn right. There's going to be a picture. Darn right. I'm taking a picture of that Facebook profile coming up.
Well, if we're going to talk about droids, and we've only got a couple minutes left, what about Matt Berry as 8D8? He was hilarious.
Oh man, yep.
That was fabulous. Oh, who am I missing?
You're missing. Okay, so when they was messing with the N1 Starfighter, they brought back R5D8.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah,
that's right. I
The
forgot.
bad motivator. It didn't kill him.
And you notice that the top of his head actually has a burned out spot from where it exploded.
Yes.
in New Hope.
Yes.
You know that there's a legend story, right? About him. He's the only droid that's force sensitive, and he looked into the future and saw that if I do not blow my motivator right now, the Empire keeps everything. So I will take one for the team.
Yes, I heard that story.
I've heard that story. I also, you know what? For me, what's canon with R5 is a cartoon that I saw. I think it was Sci-Fi Insider magazine or something. Mm-hmm. That basically it was like the captions were "good motivator, bad motivator." The good motivator thing shows R2D2, and there's the Leia hologram going, "You're my only hope, R2. You're such a good droid." And then the bad motivator, it shows R5, and there's this very punk-looking hologram going, "You're worthless. You're not going to amount to anything. Why don't you just blow yourself up?"
But you know what, folks?
On that note,
you guys aren't worthless, though, so don't listen to them. You're our listeners, and we love you. We're going to take a break now. If you're listening to us on one of the podcast platforms, including markwho42.com and Geekcast Radio Network. But if you're listening to us on SUBSPACE Radio, we've got to say so long to you, and we'll be back next week with an all-new episode. So long, or as to the podcast platforms, we'll be right back here on Mark Who 42's Universe.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's Universe.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure, The Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or geekcastradio.com.
Welcome back to the Mark Who 42's Universe podcast. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me, we've got Eduardo M. Freyre, Vicky Jakubowski, and Zion Quiros. And this has been, if you've been listening to the first two parts of our show, you've been listening about the book of Boba Fett. It's our review, our book review, if you will. And now, I know no one liked it in the first part. Why would you like it now? Vicky, take it away.
So
please take it away. Please
take it away from me.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so hey guys, we have not talked about the mods yet. Now, of course, for some people,
mod squad.
Yes, the Mod Squad. Now,
Okay.
of course, that reference isn't going to make any sense to anyone either. And so...
Makes sense to me.
Clarence Williams is
Thank
third.
you,
Oh,
Ed.
yeah.
But, you know, if you're my age or a little older, then you're familiar with Mod Squad, the TV show. And
They
the
made
mods...
a movie. They made a movie in the 90s, so they might know
They
it.
did?
Yeah, but it was
Did that
forgettable.
go anywhere?
It was
Yeah.
terrible.
That
It was
didn't go
terrible. It
anywhere.
was
I
the
don't
worst
remember
piece of
that.
garbage.
Yes.
It was, yeah, no, it.
So the mods was in the late 60s. People like David Bowie and the Rolling Stones were all part of the mod scene, which of course mod is short for modern. And they would go around London in their little Vespa-like vehicles that were all brightly colored. And
If
they all
you've seen
had cool
Quadrophenia,
clothes.
if you've seen
There
Quadrophenia,
you go.
you'll totally get the mods.
That is it. That is it perfectly. So we got our mods, but these are mods as in modified. So they've been modified and had mechanical parts in. So they're part Borg. So
Pretty much.
But, you know, at first they don't seem to make a lot of sense, except that they're the eyes and ears of Boba Fett. It's really not until we get to that last episode and we realize that we've got the country folk from Freetown, we got the city folk of the mods, and they're all fighting to protect their area. So, Ed, what do you think of the mods?
Honestly, I like the mods. I know that, yeah, there were people on the internet that were like, you know, they went with the Power Ranger bikes. Oh, what are they doing in Vespa scooters? Oh, that's so lame.
I already told you it's not Power Rangers. It's the color of lightsabers.
No, exactly. Well, yeah, no, yeah. But I'm saying,
I'm saying what
Vicky,
the public was saying.
Yes, exactly.
I know.
The public that didn't get it. The public that didn't get it.
The other thing is, well, okay. The other thing about I say to the people who didn't get it is that, see, you got to remember. Okay, yeah, we had the swoop bikers who looked quote unquote more badass. But here's the thing, and they even say it right when the mods show up. These are kids living on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not everybody can sit there and grab the cool little swoop bikes and trick it up so it looks all badass. These kids are living hand to mouth. Why did they steal the water? Because they had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on. So yeah, they're not gonna have these awesome looking Harley Davidson swoop bike stuff. They're going to have whatever they can get their hands on. So if it looks like a freaking tricked out space Vespa, it's going to look like a freaking tricked out space Vespa. Not everything, you can't just sit there and go, everything has to be, freaking cool,
if you think about Tatooine, it feels like everybody is, to use an earthling term, paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly.
The Tusken Raiders. They're living spot to spot, doing what they can to survive. Every set of people, even the people in the city, everyone's just struggling to survive in their little corner of the universe. And it's kind of why that entire planet is just filled with scrappy people who aren't going to take it anymore when the syndicate moves in and wants to take over it all.
Yep. Oh, and okay, we were talking about Easter eggs and references.
Oh, yeah.
There is one that I do have to bring up. This was one, I actually made my own Easter egg. I probably shouldn't have, but you know what? I couldn't help myself. Because, so you did have in the penultimate episode, you had Cobb Vanth face down Bane and come up short. But for me, what I noticed is he got he took one in the shoulder and went down, and there was like, oh, is he alive or not? We did see in the post-credit scene in Book of Boba Fett that he was borrowing the Bacta tank, Boba Fett's Bacta tank, and we saw the the cybernetics guy, that they were getting ready to maybe give Cobb Vanth some upgrades. But to me, it's like I couldn't help myself. I started thinking of Transformers the movie, the 86 cartoon movie, because here's the thing. One of the first things to happen in the movie is that the character of Brawn gets he's the first person to die in the infamous shuttle attack scene. We see him and he dies. He gets hit in the shoulder. Starscream uses Megatron's gun mode and blasts him in the shoulder, and then we see him tipping back. Well, we see Brawn falling back, and it's clear his back got blown out by a laser blast. So when Cobb Vanth got hit and he goes down, I'm like, oh man, don't tell me we got a Brawn situation again. And I was like, okay, until I am not, I've been down this road before. until you show me that Cobb Vanth is alive, I'm not going to be fine. I'm not going to be fine. I am not going to get brawned again. I am not going to get brawned again. But yeah, he's alive. I mean, okay, he needed a buck to tank. I have to admit, I kind of lost my. I was tempted to kind of post a meme, have like a picture of Cobb Vanth, and it's like, "Hey kids, he got hit in the shoulder. He'll be fine." Then put a picture of Braun. Then put a picture of Braun, especially if I can get one of him frowning, going, "Good for you."
I have a question.
Yes.
I didn't get the post-credit sequence at the end of episode 7. Can someone explain that to me?
Oh, they show Cobb, the sheriff.
So that was Cobb. That was Cobb. I wasn't.
Cobb.
Okay. I'm
And
sorry.
we saw
I'm sorry to
that-
bring up a point that probably everyone knew and you knew, but I couldn't tell
yes.
it was Cobb. Okay, it was Cobb.
Oh
Cool.
yes, it was
Cobb.
absolutely Cobb, and then you had the modifier over him playing with his tools, so you know that he was going to get some modifications.
Gotcha.
And since Cobb is both in Mandalorian and in Boba Fett,
So that's how
I
he'll be
feel-
back in the Mandalorian
Yes.
because of that
Yes.
scene. Okay.
but he'll be upgraded.
Yep. And hopefully when he's getting a new deputy, it's like, okay, this is one of the, you want to be my new deputy. This is one of the requirements to the job. Shut up. And if I tell you stay back, stay back.
Yeah.
I have a question for Ed, since like we're like action figure guys.
Okay. All right. Hit me.
Are you
Oh.
aware of the Rancor HasLab?
Yes. I was familiar with the Rancor HasLab. I did not. Here's the thing. I love HasLab. I love that HasLab is doing these things.
Yes.
The problem is that all of them are so freaking expensive. Like I cannot
Exactly.
I cannot like put down hundreds of dollars for stuff like this. I mean, do I want like a retro Sky Striker with all this cool stuff? Yes. I have a Rancor toy. Getting one that's a bit more screen accurate, a bit more articulation, that sounds awesome. Again, I do not have the money to be pulling out hundreds of dollars. It's one thing for me to grab like a couple of toys online. It's another thing for me to put down the down payment that they want you to. I love
That is crazy.
it's like seriously. I mean, it's
For our listeners that don't know what we're talking about, so there's
Like
a
everybody.
series.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Just you.
Just me. Okay.
Just you,
There was this
Mark.
Star Wars figure series called the Black Series, and they range from the usual 375s to 6-inch, right?
Yeah. I think the 6-inchers are the Black Series, and then the 3 3/4 inchers are called the Vintage Collection.
No. There is the Vintage Collection Black Series for 375, but there's also the Black Series for 375 and 6-inch. Believe it or not.
Okay.
But yeah,
So it feels like every time I look these up online, when they list Black Series figures, they're talking about the 6-inchers.
Yeah,
and
it is
and they do
majority
something
the
else.
6-inch.
Yeah.
But so they Hasbro does this thing for fans of money-wise for backed projects that wouldn't sell at Walmart. Like for example, like this Rancor. This Rancor is scaled to size for a 6-inch figure. Like if you remember Luke in the Rancor's hand in episode 6, you get a scale of how big this figure must be. And it was like $350. And to get this figure, you have to put in your down payment, but at the same time, the project has to reach a certain backing of like 9,000.
I see
people.
that it didn't.
No, it didn't.
It was short.
It was short by less than 100. Oh no, less than 500.
500?
Yes, less than 500. And so my thing is that this came out before the Book of Boba Fett. If this came out after episode 7, this would be funded right now. Just because Boba Fett wrote it.
There you go. Well, especially if not just, if it had come out after the Book of Boba Fett, but also if they had brought this out, like if one of the stretch goals was a harness and a Boba Fett figure, then dude,
I'd probably buy it.
Get
a big problem with a lot of people with this is that when you add things and you add more money to it, there's different tiers. So you get more stuff. But ended up that the biggest tier didn't fill the quota of what people wanted for $350 toward a figure.
What was the tier?
I think you got like 2 Gamorrean guards and the fat guy.
Oh, the
And
Rancor
that was it.
Keeper?
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's
all
it.
right. I mean, it's like, okay, that's not bad.
It's not.
That's not bad.
For episode
but
6.
Come on, guys. Yeah, like, it's like, yeah, like, honestly, try to do the Rancor again. Have one of the things be a harness for his back with a Boba Fett figure to go with it. Have a freaking figure of Danny Trejo's Rancor Keeper.
Yes.
Bring that out. Have have a figure of oh darn it, I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Wookiee bounty hunter. Black
Carvanista. No.
You shush.
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
I think
Chrysanthemum?
Chrysanthemum is right.
Okay, like have a figure of him, like totally disarmed, so you can have him at the bottom of your Rancor pit diorama, just walking around like this is BS, man.
Since we're on this, did you see the Black Chrysanthemum that they're going to release?
I saw.
No.
It is just a repainted Chewbacca.
What? Okay,
It's
that's
just a
just
repainted Chewbacca.
lazy.
It's insane because, like, of course, like I think Chrysanthemum, he's bulkier than your average Wookiee, which is really surprising. And it's just weird that, like, all you do for this character, who was apparently in the comics, I don't know, but
yeah, he was in the Star Wars comics
yes,
he was.
Interesting. But
The Marvel Star Wars comics.
It just looks like they just painted this Chewbacca black. I'm like,
it is
I
the
wanted
most.
more.
I'm
You know what?
looking
That's
at
one of
the 6-inch figure at GameStop, and it is the ugliest thing in the world. It looks nothing like the character on the show.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, that's one of the things when you're an action figure guy, that is one of the things that you will also have to deal with, which is the wonderful world of repaints.
Oh my god.
Yes.
It's like, no, this isn't. Hey, I think I've seen this character before. No, it isn't,
No,
because that
you have
character wears a black shirt and green pants. This one is obviously wearing a white shirt and blue jeans. Yeah, but they both have a beret. They both like berets. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just,
I've seen that over the years where
or
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what were they thinking? Why did they think that we weren't going to notice this? Do they not know that fans are, I don't know, fans?
or just the thing of like, okay, we need hell, we're gonna take Duke's head, Gung Ho's body, and Snake Eye's pants. It's a new character.
I think I had a toy like that once.
But see,
of course, I made it that way. But
it's trust me, it's like it's the type of thing where they'll repaint. They'll just like I have. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, so I have a ton of G.I. Joe figures in my home office. In fact, I can see them right now as we're talking. And so they have a figure of the Laser Trooper Flash. Okay, they brought a new one out back in 2006 or so for the 30th anniversary line. Then repaint his chest piece silver. It's not Flash, it's Grand Slam. Then the Collectors Club got a hold of the mold. The costume is painted in kind of a light gray, and his chest piece is in gold with gold pads. It's not Flash or Grand Slam. It's a new character, Bombardier.
Oh.
Which, by the way, Bombardier actually was a repainted Flash back in the day.
No.
So it's like, yeah, that is what we're dealing with here. It's simply just, okay, repaint it. Like, for example, the Cobra officer. We're gonna repaint him in gray. He's the Jeep driver. He's not a Cobra officer. He's a Jeep driver.
Well, okay, other than the action figures, what do we think is going to happen next? Because we know we're supposed to get another series of Boba Fett and another series of Mandalorian. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think, Zion?
Well, yeah.
They have to start tying things in with the new trilogy. I
Yeah.
think that's the only direction they can go at this point. Because, like it or not, you are still stuck between two trilogies.
Yes.
You will still have a start and end goal, and you must abide by them regardless of how much time is between it. And they did that in season 2 of Mando. So I think they might end up doing it the same here, because regardless, the Empire is still looking for, well, the remnants of Empire still looking for Grogu, and we still
Right.
haven't seen what's his face, the guy that died in episode 8, screwed up face.
Oh, Snoke.
Snoke. Yeah.
Snoke.
Okay. Yeah. We still haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that
When does he come to power? Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I agree.
Well, when and how? I think the only thing is that like we're 5 years out from Return of the Jedi, and about what 25 out from
give or
the
take.
beginning of So that gives a lot of room to work with, because I would say the trap that you don't want to fall into is to like force yourselves to throw something in so you could be like, hey kids, look, it's this thing from the new trilogy,
That's
like
true.
having a couple having like Boba Fett run into this young couple in
Right,
Tatooine.
it's too soon for that.
Like running into a young couple in Tatooine who basically say, oh yeah, she's pregnant with her first child. We're trying to think of a name. What do you think about Poe? It's like it's like you don't want to like throw in a reference just
Right.
to throw in a reference.
Did you know
So you
that
have
he
enough
already
like
came across his parents.
right, or something like you don't want, it's like you kind of want to make sure it makes sense. You kind of just don't want to throw in a
Right.
reference just to throw in a reference, just to be like, hey kids,
Look,
it's
Right.
Rey's mom and dad as teenagers. It's like, will it make sense?
And
will
of
it
course, the next series that's coming out is the Obi-Wan, which is actually
Yep.
going to take us backwards in between episode 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
And again, it's not like you kind of have to make sure, with things like this. Okay, it's great to set some, but like for example, I keep thinking with the Obi-Wan series, it's like supposedly Hayden Christensen is going to come back.
Yes. Oh no, it's
we
confirmed.
do like
He is
how many?
confirmed.
Okay, but like for example, do we want Obi-Wan to be like talking to baby Luke Skywalker? Do we want do we need like for example, do we need Obi-Wan to run into freaking I don't know, like run into this character, that character, just to be like, see, look, like hopefully it'll make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully it'll
because
be in ways that make sense rather than just try to shoehorn something in so you could be like, see, this is why this happened in New Hope, like
there's only so much that Obi-Wan can do in exile for 30 years or 15 years and make it make
or
sense.
even exactly. I mean, sometimes, like honestly, that's the only thing that I have. The only problem that I have with the Obi-Wan with this Obi-Wan series, is that what are you going to do that doesn't fly in the face of what we've seen before?
I think that question would be a lot better if this thing got a second series. Because pushing a second series for Obi-Wan is going too far, as far as I feel. But if it's like his own condensed thing of like a week within this years long span of Obi-Wan in exile, then I could take it.
See, that makes sense. And then maybe and exactly. Like I
think about like how
you.
perfectly Rogue One fit between 3 and 4, and it just worked really nice. And of course, it was a movie, but it just, if they can do it where you can see where there's references and it makes sense and it flows, and that was like one of the best one-off movies of any series I've ever seen. It was just so well done, so well written, and you kind of hope that you get a lot of that in these TV shows we're getting, because of course, where Ahsoka's going to take us, God only knows, because at what time in her life, we don't quite know yet. And of course, between Clone Wars and Rebels, you see her very young, and then you see her, you just kind of see these different sides of her. So it'll be interesting to see where does the TV show go.
Yep.
Because it could go so many different ways.
And even then, it's like all these TV shows, like Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. This is before the new trilogy, and you kind of have to, be careful not to introduce an idea and then be like, oh crap, I just introduced the idea of this, and it flies in the face of when we saw the Resistance in in Force Awakens. It's like so it's also the thing of not only just setting up for what it takes, for what comes after, but also maybe, okay, is there anything you can do that answers any lingering questions we might have about, for example, what came before, so like, for example, there's like Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, since we're less than a decade out from Return of the Jedi, you could do more to set up, okay, what was it like, immediately after the fall of the Empire? We have gotten, I know some of the spin-off novels and stuff have gotten into the fact that it it wasn't a thing where, the Empire fell and the next day everybody was like, hallelujah, that the Empire did hold on to some stuff. I think there was a novel that talked about the immediate aftermath of when we saw Coruscant in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Right.
That there was a little bit of, the Empire going, okay, break it up. Yeah, I know you heard the Empire died, but break it up. So, do a bit more of that, maybe try to do a bit more of that. And if you can find a way to slot in something that, will relate back to the new trilogy, then go ahead.
There are two things that I think I would like to see. First, I want to ask a question. Has anyone touched anything in the High Republic yet?
No.
I've been reading the book. I've been reading the comics. I've been reading Marvel stuff on the High Republic.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, nothing.
I was wondering when are they actually gonna either acknowledge it in live action, or actually give us something for that in live action, because we haven't really touched on it yet, and it is a slippery slope, because if you you guys would remember this better than I would, because you guys grew up with Star Wars, and it was Star Wars where it was a mix of guns and lightsabers, while mine is the oversaturation of lightsabers, and your generation did not like that, but we did. So the High Republic is kind of that again. So who knows if lightsaber fatigue is a real thing or not, and that might feed in here or not. But I like to see that. And,
I think the thing with the High Republic though, is that the High Republic stories take place hundreds of years.
Oh yeah, that's way in the past.
Before that. So it's one of those things of, if there's a way, if there's even more so than a lot of what we've been talking about, if there's a way you could slot in something, some nod to the history of the High Republic, then go for it. If not, leave it alone. Don't throw something in just to be hey, who's been reading the High Republic?
I agree.
It's slot it in where you can, but
also, we haven't got anything much from Rebels. I don't think we've ever had a character from Rebels show up. The only thing we got from Rebels, I believe, was the Ghost in the trilogy for 7 through 9, and it showed up very briefly in I think 7 and 9.
Well,
so
I think it was
that, I acknowledge it, but they haven't shown anything about it.
I want to say, as far as Rebels is concerned, I want to say they did reference. Okay, so with Rebels, I believe in Rogue One there was a when we were on Yavin 4, there was a shout out to one of the characters from Rebels. You could hear her name being paged on the intercom.
Oh, really?
And then the Ghost is supposed to be, and then I think the Ghost is part of the fleet that arrives on Scarif.
Yes.
And then I think the Ghost was supposed to be one of the ships at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
But I think with Rebels, and I will say this, it's funny you should bring this up, because what I've heard is there's a rumor that the villain of the Ahsoka series is going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Ooh.
I've heard that too.
So
and that
if
has
it
got me
does,
very intrigued.
yeah, if it does take place concurrent with Book of Boba Fett with Mandalorian, then it will answer what happened to Thrawn and maybe even Ezra at the end of Rebels.
Interesting.
So, we do, it's like, it is possible that they may be sticking in references. And who knows? Also, who knows? Because I know that another series that's coming is Andor.
Oh,
That
yes.
Cassian Andor's getting his own thing. And since that is before Rogue One, there is the possibility they could throw somebody in from Rebels. Maybe not, it might have to be something like Captain Rex, or it might not be what we're expecting, but the door is open.
Yeah. Actually, it'll be really interesting to kind of see how they put it all together, because when you think about it, the shows we're getting right now this second, except for the Obi-Wan one, will be after episode 6, but before episode 7. And then, Obi-Wan will take us basically between 3 and 4, we're assuming, although I kind of wonder, with having Hayden Christensen in it, does that mean we're going to be getting some...
You have to. If
backward.
he's in it, you have to go backwards.
Because otherwise he's just going to be Darth Vader, and then that could be anyone. And then
or well, you never know. They could also
flashbacks,
it could be
exactly.
Yeah, it could be flashbacks. It could be that maybe, Obi-Wan tries to reach him through, Obi-Wan has dreams where Anakin is, floating around with no legs and one arm and just being like, dang it, man, why'd you make me look like barbecue?
Well, there's a lot of stuff between episode 2, well, actually 1 and 2, and 2 and 3, that is kind of filled in discussions in the actual movies that follow. But there's a lot of timeline in between those movies that we don't have information on, outside of, like, we get a little bit in the original Clone Wars animated series, and then we get a little bit more in the big Clone Wars animated series. So it'll be very interesting to see where that will fall into all that, and will the large Clone Wars animated series actually still be canon after Obi-Wan comes out.
Well, and then also, I mean, here's the thing, one of the things that the High Republic did was it took us even back further.
Right. That went way back.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could have stuff that takes place that is so distant that we're able to have we're able to have Star Wars adventures where we don't have to wonder about, hey, can we stick in a cameo from Ahsoka? Hey, can we have, like, the Millennium Falcon flying overhead? Can we have,
No, I would be interested in looking at, I looked up the High Republic, and I had seen a little bit about that. And that actually would be an interesting way to go, because that would tell us kind of the story before the story. And sometimes prequels, when done well, are really done well. And it just, I would like to know, I'd love to know the history of the Jedis. That would be fun in my book. Well, how they kind of came to be what they are now, or what they were come the first trilogy and the second trilogy. And I think that would be fascinating, especially as we know they kind of get a little sanctimonious and big for their britches by the time we get to episode 1, Phantom Menace. It'd be really nice to see kind of where they came from, where it started. And I don't know. I think that could be done really well if you have some of the same people involved that you've had with Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I just think you've had an extremely high level cast of actors, writers, producers, directors, that as long as you've got that and they continue in that way, it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah.
Talking about Obi-Wan got me thinking. They have to put a cameo of Hayden Christensen and Ahsoka on screen together here, right?
Yes, they have.
That would be yes.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
But
I mean, they may have
play
to
a younger version.
Yeah, I mean, they may have to do some de-aging on Rosario Dawson,
Yes.
but
we have
she's
technology.
young, but she's not that young.
Yeah,
we can rebuild her.
Oh, dude.
Faster
We have the
than-
technology. We can CGI her.
I think we're horrible. But
And on
I'll
that-
see it. I'll watch it.
And on that note, we're gonna close the book of Boba Fett. I know no one likes to joke. It's still going on from part 1.
Well, because
we have some-
because you're not following Elsa's advice. You're not letting it go.
Okay, now see, you should have a bad spring break too, Noah. And I'm sorry, you have a paper to write about Disney animation, which you like, so you have no problem.
Dude, I'm a teacher, okay? So I don't have to write nothing.
Okay, children.
Not to mention that I just this past week I took advantage
Eddie,
of
in the
delayed
corner.
In the corner, Ed, for the first time. For the first time, Ed's in the corner.
No, I don't have to go in the corner.
Final words from everybody. Vicky.
Woohoo!
Zion.
Very good series. I look forward to more.
In the corner, Ed.
Yeah, message to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Give us the Star Wars series featuring the ice cream maker guy from Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Thanks. See? Yes, exactly. See?
I've always wondered about that guy.
See, there you go. See, we've got an audience. Get on it, Filoni. Hell, if you need a writer for it, call me up. Call me up. My computer is on right now. I can turn on Microsoft Word. I can type something up.
Use a pencil. Don't use Microsoft Word. Do what I'm doing. Use a pencil. All right, folks.
You're not a teacher. You can't. Are you an administrator? Are you an administrator for Washoe County Schools? No. Shush. Silence. Silence, plebeian.
Shush.
Oh, am I supposed to end the show here? I was going to be silent.
No,
Okay.
no. I told Ed to be quiet, so
Oh,
go
okay,
for it,
Ed,
Mark.
be quiet. So thank you for listening to the Mark Who 42's Universe podcast here on Geekcast Radio Network, markwho42.com, and all around the internet. Until next time, so long from all of us here. Bye. Ed, you can say something.
Something.
Bye, everyone.
I could actually buy the ice cream maker. That's insane.
Thanks for listening to Mark Who 42's Universe with hosts Mark Baumgarten, Eduardo M. Freyre, Zion Quiros, and Vicky Jakubowski. This program was produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please go to our Facebook page or email us at markwho42s.universe@gmail.com. You can listen to old shows at our website, markwho42.com, or even our YouTube page, markwho42. Mark Who 42's Universe, copyright 2022.